Welcome to another edition of Marriage Advice TV.
In our research around the world, we ask questions with great consistency. That way you know how various and sundry people respond to the same question. One of those questions that we ask of couples whose marriage failed, and particularly women, we ask them, well, what were the warning signs? How did you know? How did you know that this relationship was on the verge of failure? And what we found was 5 very consistent categories of response in our interviews around the world.
And the first one is, they always tell us that they felt better whenever he wasn't in the house. In other words, it was a relief when he left, and that was a consistent feeling they had day in and day out.
Probably the best way to describe number 2 was a woman who said to us, every night in bed, when I would roll over or turn over and face him, I was repelled by the sight of him in bed. I got to where I couldn't even stand his smell. That's a warning sign, if you get the drift. When you're so repelled by the person that you used to love that you can't share a bed with him any longer, and you are repelled by his presence.
And number 3 is that you are constantly reminded that he doesn't respect you. And one of the most telling ways is when his opinion is the only opinion that counts. You have absolutely no part of that discussion.
The fourth one, women consistently say to us, it became clear to me that I no longer loved him. I could feel it in my heart. I found great difficulty in telling him that I loved him. In fact, got to the point where I hardly ever told him that. I didn't feel good around him. I didn't have all the signs that you love someone, you know, the tingling, the palpitation in your heart, and on when you really know you love someone. I didn't love him anymore, and I couldn't express that love anymore. Telltale sign.
And the last one is an unusual one because it was best described by a woman who said, yeah, the reason I left him was because of the donuts. We said, what? Because of the donuts? And she said, oh yeah, let me give you a perfect example. He'd ask me what kind of donut I want. I'd say I'd want a powdered sugar or a chocolate. He'd come out with a French cruller. I'd ask, what movie do you want to go to? And I would say, well, I want to go to Avatar. And what did he bring out? Tickets to something different. In other words, he thought I was worth nothing at all. My opinion didn't matter, I didn't matter, and that's what the donuts were about.
You know, in the end, the truth of the matter is this. Most marriages are worth saving, and they can be saved, but not all. And sometimes you just have to know when it's time to walk away. That takes a lot of self-examination, a lot of conversation, sometimes the help of someone outside the relationship. But not all marriages can be saved. And when you start to feel those warning signs, it's time to try to do something about them. Either act on them in a positive way by seeking help, having a conversation with your spouse, or seeking outside help. But in the end, sometimes you just have to walk away.
Thanks for joining us for Marriage Advice TV. We'll see you next week.